Welcome everybody. We are live from the blender at the Maasvlakte. Maybe it seems like the end of the world, but it can also maybe be the beginning of a new world to come. I was listening to a podcast while I was driving here over this beautiful desert with the water inside, and I heard somebody say it was the podcast, The Food Chain of the BBC. Welcome at home. I didn't forget you. I was listening to the podcast and they said, let's feed the world without letting it cost the earth. And maybe that's why we all here today at this moment. A question to you all in the audience. Who of you feels now is the time to change and improve our food chain? Hands. Hands, all of you. Great. Maybe behind your YouTube channel you also have a thumbs up. Thank you. And it's not a real big surprise, but you came to the right place, because today we are going to launch something that might help us feed the world without costing the earth. First of all, I will tell you something why I believe this is so important. I will go to a short introduction of myself. Yes. I'm your host today. I'm Daan Faber. I'm your moderator as well. I'm one of the three Mr. Kitchens. We have a company, a three-man company in Amsterdam. Just three pictures of what we do. We just finished organizing the Weekend of the Rolling Kitchens. It's 15th edition this year in Amsterdam, last weekend. We write about food in magazines. I also wrote a book about taste. But we also are an independent, plant-based food brand, also by the name of Mr. Kitchens. We try to challenge, yes, I see there. We try to challenge the supermarkets and the big brands by improving recipes and veganizing them. This is actually our new brainchild. It's a dream butter. It will be launched in August in Albert Heijn. It's a cow-free butter. You won't believe the taste. I'll let you taste after the show. It's a cow-free butter, and we made it from Cargill's cocoa butter heap. So it's a collaboration between a very small company, mining company, and a giant, also located in the harbor of Amsterdam. Let's go to you guys. We are here because we are here for an inspirational day and a festive day. We just stepped into this sustainable carbon neutral factory, The Blender. I love the name. And it's also, I think, The Blender is also a metaphor about what we're trying to do. Mixing up the status quo to make a smoother future. Actually, to make something better out of all these components going in the blender. So I hope you all feel that we are in a creative blender today. Let's start from the beginning. The Next Food Collective. It's a very promising name. We'll get to the inside of that name later. But on paper, it is a new public-private partnership joining the forces of 4 organizations: the Top Institute Food and Nutrition, TIFN, Sustainable Food Initiative, SFI, the Carbohydrate Competence Center, and the Protein Competence Center. And that's blended together will be the Next Food Collective. Its mission, now it almost sounds like Star Trek, its mission to accelerate the pace of sustainable and healthy food innovation by connecting international partners in the food chain to boldly go where no one has gone before. I love Star Trek, I hope you do too. But this sounds like a Star Trek mission, and I think we're going to boundaries together. Today we gather to inspire each other, to discuss the collective need, the need for food innovation, and also to discuss it with great guests that will join me here today on the stage, to ultimately launch together the Next Food Collective. We have some house rules, especially also for online it's important. If you want to ask any questions during the event, please use the YouTube chat function. YouTube account needed, or send to events@nextfoodcollective.nl, and there are very nice people here behind the computers. They will take your questions and I will see them on the screen. If you want here live in the audience to ask a question, please just raise your hands and there will be someone with a mic coming your way. We'll be recording the session so you can watch it afterwards as well. For social media posts, please use the hashtag #NextFoodCollective. We also have an agenda. No, agenda. Oh, I already had the agenda. This is what we're going to do today. And of course, we'll be having drinks afterwards. Now, very important, this will be transformed to our speakers corner. We have 3 speakers and they will share their best practices in creating a more sustainable food chain. After each speaker, we'll get to ask questions during a panel discussion. So please keep your questions in mind for the panel. Let's welcome our first speaker, Managing Director of GEA Nederland, Joost Vliegen. Here you are.
Yeah. That one, that's mine. Good afternoon. My name is Joost Vliegen, as introduced by Daan. I'm the Managing Director of GEA in the Netherlands. GEA is a German-based stock-listed company, and we are active in food and beverage processing, particularly the manufacturing of equipment and its processes as a whole. And today, on this nice location, I would like to presentation first. And today I would like to take you down to 2019. It was pre-COVID, and we still could meet each other at a different sites. So I met one of our sales guys, William, in a coffee corner. And William was shining and was smiling, and I like to see happy people. They are most productive. But still I asked him why, because there was this vibe of being a little bit different. So I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Nah, I'm very happy because I'm working for months now with this customer for that greenfield project. But so far we were perceived as knowledgeable, high quality, damn expensive. So we could not really make the difference. But that changed a few weeks ago," he said. Because a few weeks ago, that particular customer said, "We want something special, we want to have it carbon neutral, and we want focus on waste and water reduction." And that was perfect for us. But because that made us, that gave us the possibility to make the difference. So a new phase started, he said, and during that new phase of co-designing, a lot of workshops together, their engineers, our engineers, their specialists, all together, basically designed a new plant. A few months later, letter of intent signed, and shortly after that, a contract. Yoo-hoo, everybody happy. And for the guys in the house, that's where we are today. Because William was talking about the blender of Innocent. Innocent set the target of engineering and building their first carbon neutral processing plant, and we could be part of that. And of course, we are extremely happy that we got that order, because it's business, and at the end of the day, we have to make money. But the most important reasons why we were so extremely happy was that it fit perfectly to our mission, engineering for a better world. We have that mission a few years already, but nowadays this becomes even more important. And the good thing is, nobody can copy it, so we now can really make use of it. So, engineering for a better world is what we do every day. 80% of our 5.5 billion euro turnover is in engineering, in production, in servicing food and beverage processing plants worldwide. Not just in the Netherlands, but in the entire world. And a customer like Innocent challenged us, triggered us. Of course, we know our products, but because of this very specific question, they challenged us to integrate everything, to combine it, and also to expose it. And that was why we were so extremely happy with such a nice plant. That was 2019. Then in 2020, Gerda launched his new strategy plan, next 5 years, 6 years strategy plan. With this vision, we safeguard future generations by providing sustainable solutions for the nutrition and pharmaceutical industries. And I'm not going to say that this vision is drawn up because of Innocent. That would be really strange, of course, but it proved that we were on the right track. And how are we doing this sustainable processing? So we always look basically in circles, in phases, and we start at the low-hanging fruit. That's the left-hand circle. We try to reduce energy needed at the core of the process. And you could do that by making sure that your production schedule is optimized. You can do that by avoiding downtime. That is the easiest to do first. The next step is reusing energy. We build a lot of spray dryers. They need a lot of energy. And if you can reuse the waste heat out of that, is a perfect example. Next one is upcycling energy, like over here in this place. We pull out a lot of energy from the production process, and with our heat pumps, we boost that up to reuse it as hot water or heating or as CIP water, whatever. So that's what we do with upcycling. And finally, we, of course, support the generation of renewable energy, like wind and solar. So we do that with a wide variety of products. But and that's quite unique because we combine it, the full processing products and engineering of it, including its utilities like heating and cooling, what you can see on the right-hand side. So traditionally, most of our competition, most of our peers, they design, process, and service them with energy. But instead, we combine process requirements and energy service to optimize and facilitate sustainable solutions. That basically is a holistic processing plant. And in the past, we also optimized part E, and we got a 2% improvement. All nice. And then we optimized part B, and another 4% of energy reduction happened. But if you look at it holistically, and think smart and do it smart, we can do much more, 30%. And that's what we call the SENSE approach, sustainable engineering solutions. With SENSE, sustainability and value creation are intertwined. That's our philosophy. Also at this place over here. Hold on. Innocent is a nice example. Unfortunately, we cannot see the place, as Sam just mentioned, but we have this kind of experiences with more of our customers and very famous brands. And what the fun about this one is, it's their desire, it's their target to do things differently in food processing, and we are happy that we can help them with this. That's all nice and perfect if we help our customers to produce sustainable food the sustainable way, but it also comes with an obligation for ourselves. And we always talk then about the famous scope 1, 2, and 3, and we all know that 1 and 2 is way more impacting than scope 3, but still, we have an obligation. So we are ambitious as GEA. European Union set their net zero target on 2050. Our company set the target on 2040. And by 2030, we want to reduce scope 1 and 2 with 60%. and Scope 3 with 18%. We have many different programs. I drove my electrical car today because since 2021, our green fleet policy is the new norm. So basically, we try to drive as much as possible electrically. Existing sites are converted. The biggest site of us in Germany, with a conventional combined heat power plant consuming a lot of gas to produce electricity, is now converted into a solar system. Or, example you can see here, our new factories we are building up. This one in Koszalin, Poland, climate neutral. The one we've started recently in the US, climate neutral. So we help our customers, but we have an obligation and we fulfill that as well. And in 2040, GEA is climate neutral worldwide. It's quite a challenge because we have a lot of traditional engineers in our company and change is generally different for people. So you have to do it step by step and you have to convey the message. It's a lot about communication. It's a lot about walking the talk. That's why I was one of the first ones to drive an electrical car, because of course there was a lot of resistance. But by being very firm and consistent and by communicating it, people like the ideas and like the statements and getting more to it as their own company. They are really going to believe in it, step by step. And also our shareholders, our stakeholders, they like that strategy. So I started in the beginning with this very intensive interaction between the teams of Innocent and GEA. And we can do that with you as well. So we have run quite a few workshops already with peers, with our specialists, where we brainstorm and where we find ideas, how can we make your process more sustainable? And I'm happy to invite you for this. You can contact me or my colleague René in the house. If that is of interest of you, they are free of charge, they are without any commitment, but I think it will fresh up your mind and we certainly can help each other to make the food production chain more sustainable. So for me, I want to thank you right now for listening. These 10 minutes, I wish you a very inspirational day, and I would like now to hand over to Daan again.
Thank you very much, Joost. Before I leave you back to your seat, I have one question. It's maybe a hopeful question. Do you think it's the technology that can save this planet?
What would happen if I would say no? No.
No, I
of
mean,
course.
How big a role can technology play in the future?
A massive role. That's what you can see on plants like this. Yeah. It starts with the true willingness to do it. Then, of course, you need to free up the money, but technically, it's all possible. Okay. And I am a true believer of technology and also legislation to push us towards an environment where we are able to do better for the world. Yes.
To maximize the effort.
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Joost will be back in the panel later. And now our second guest, our second speaker and host of today is Carina O'Gorman, European Head of Force for Good at Innocent Drinks.
Thank you, everyone. Lovely to be here today. I should probably explain my job title first, because I often get asked, do I work in Star Wars? So Force for Good, for us here at Innocent, we're actually a B Corp. So that's the sort of terminology about businesses operating in the right way, balancing people, planet, and profit. So I look after all things sustainability, nutrition, B Corp and comms. So today I'm going to build a little bit on Joost's great story about how we came to work together, but I guess tell you the Innocent story of how we came to do this. So first of all, just a little bit about us as a company. You're here today in our factory, so thank you for joining us. But we started back in 1999 with 3 friends from university, and they realised that actually people weren't putting fruit into a bottle, so smoothies wasn't even really a category, which we all now enjoy. So they went to a music festival in London. They took these drinks with them that they'd made up in their kitchen at home, and they were giving the drinks out at a festival, and they had 2 dustbins, and they had a question, and the question said, should we quit university, and start making these full time? Put your empty bottle in your answer. So by the end of the day, the bin was very full on the yes side. They joked that it was only their mums that was put the no ones in, saying, don't leave uni. But that obviously led to us starting Innocent Drinks, well, to the 3 founders beginning the company on that journey. And so over that time, we've been on this journey for those 23 years. We hit 2008, financial crash, very difficult time for businesses around. It was a time for the business to grow up. It had been seeing some nice steady growth from there, but what was clear was we needed investment to be able to carry on. So in 2009, following lots of different conversations with brands, we agreed to start working with Coke. So they took their first investment into us before being wholly owned. And that was a really important piece in all of the different conversations, because for us, Coke actually respected the sort of values and the ethos that Innocent had and agreed to let Innocent stay true. You still see our grass on the floor today. We are still very much the brand that we were from the very beginning. And then in 2012, these are our 3 founders. They moved on, and we've since had CEOs leading that, but still the legacy and the sort of spirit of Innocent really lives through everything that they do. And starting out from just those smoothies, so our very first smoothie was strawberry and banana, but we've moved obviously into juices, into our super smoothies, into our I+ range with vitamins, bubbles. So really moving across anything that can use that goodness of fruit and veg and get it into a great tasting drink for you. And obviously now across 18 different markets, so really building out across Europe. And as I said, we've had a purpose since the beginning, really to try and make great tasting products that are good for you, but also really being good for the world around us. And we've had that ever since the beginning, and we've always been what we like to call a purpose-led brand. So how we tend to talk about that is we say we make little drinks, but we also have really big dreams. And those big dreams come into 3 key areas for us. So first is around healthier people. We know that in Europe, less than 12% are actually getting their recommended fruit and veg a day. So how do we make it super easy for everyone to increase their fruit and veg, not just through our drinks, but through education, through partnering with food rescue and waste programs as well. So it really is making sure that every drink is a good source of nutrition for you, but spreading that message about the greatness of fruit and veg. And then we look at our healthier communities. So that's really making sure we're an inclusive and diverse place to work, that we're protecting everyone within our supply chain, that we're treating everyone fairly. And we do a lot of work within our agriculture section, looking at how we work with farmers to increase their livelihoods and support the communities around them. And then I guess why we're here today, the Healthier Planet one is the area that we also then focus on. And I think for us, it really matters, not just because it's the right thing to do, but we are all about nature. Everything you're getting in our products every day comes from nature. So we have a real understanding and of the importance of protecting nature and our planet for the future. So we do a lot around our packaging innovation, making sure all our bottles can be recycled, looking at recycled content. We also do have a decarbonisation strategy. So we have a 2030 science-based target to reduce our emissions. And a key part of that is obviously the blender. And that's what we're going to spend a little bit more time telling you the Innocent story of how that came about. So first and foremost, we've actually never manufactured our own drinks. So we've always outsourced, we've always worked with co-packers. So we decided that actually if we want to grow as a business, if we want to scale up, we need to start bringing manufacturing in-house. But if we do that, how can we do it in a way that's good for business and good for the planet? So again, that balancing of profit and planet. And so what we identified was actually by bringing everything in-house and having our own manufacturing plant, it really enables us to improve the efficiencies. So there's a business win there, but actually, if we can do it in a sustainable way, then that's a great win for the planet. So that began the conversations that Yus then talked about in his presentation. We started to think about, well, how on earth do you build a sustainable factory? So when you look at our decarbonisation fit or look at our footprint, we know a huge amount comes from agriculture and there's a lot to do. But we wanted to focus in on our blending and bottling. So actually, how could our plant remove some of the footprint that we see within that? And not only that, as I said, it's about reducing the footprint there, but there was also this opportunity for efficiency. So when you look at what was our logistics supply chain and how we manufactured, the number of different places everything was going to, the different co-packers, the different ways, the idea was actually, why don't we build a factory? And then why not build it in the port of Rotterdam? Our juice is already coming into this terminal. It allowed us to reduce significant transport miles, also improving our emissions and saving cost. And it just made total sense for us to bring everything into the port of Rotterdam. We know there's already a lot of food and drink work going on here, and we also know the port was committed to sustainability. So how did it begin? So it's quite amazing, really, to think just back in February 2020, it was some sand. Then by July, we'd managed to put a sign up with some bananas on, so great progress. But actually, we did all of this through a pandemic. So we managed to navigate through a pandemic, through the little word of Brexit that we don't like to mention in the UK, depending who you are. But we managed all of the challenges that the world threw at us. And actually, also really important to remember, we weren't a manufacturing business. So it wasn't just building a factory, it's building your entire system of how do you do your end-to-end planning. So that means new systems too. So all of that was navigated to really excitingly see our first bottle come off the line back in 2021 and start to ramp that up from today forward. So sometimes we're like, oh gosh, we've really not far enough where we want to be on our journey. But when you look back and think of everything you've done in quite a short period of time, it really is quite incredible. So how is it different, or how has sustainability come into this plant? So the biggest question at the start of all of this, and this is where Gaia really came in, was if you think about traditional factories, they are powered by gas. That is a really impossible thing to improve your emissions from. So how do you make a fully electric factory? That was the task that we set out. There was no off-the-shelf solution. There's been lots of hand drawings that I've seen from discussions that were taking place between our different partners. And that was really the big step change for us. If we could make something that was fully electric, it can therefore run on renewable energy. So that was the big piece for us, being able to use the heat compressors to be able to take us through on that journey. The other big bit, which you may have seen the trucks driving around for those that are here today, we are also using the first fleet of e-trucks. So again, taking our juice from the terminals and bringing it over here, a really important way of reducing our footprint and how we travel. And then the other technology, which we're really proud of, was, again, when we think about cleaning and all of the pipes that we use the Fluivac system. So that sends mini tornadoes of air down the tubes to clean them, so you're reducing your water footprint. So you're not needing to use as much water in the cleaning process. So all of these things was every time we thought of what do you need to do, we thought, how do you do it slightly differently or in a slightly better way? So conscious that we aren't going into the factory today, and certainly for those at home, you won't be going in. So I thought I'd take you through a few of the little photos to tell you through how some of that has come to life. So as I said, we're here in the port of Rotterdam. And as you can see, sort of the inbound trucks coming in, we're able to have everything in one place to really be able to deliver what we need to do. It's around 15 hectares of land that we're here on, and we have the ability to actually double our factory in future if we want to. So it's been built in a way that we can essentially take the side off, shimmy it along, and build our lines. We've got 4 lines currently at the moment, so we do have capacity to grow as well. And then, lots of builds, which we don't need. So if we look inside at the bottling and the side, and I think this is where some of what Joost was just explaining to you really comes to life. So we actually pasteurize to 85 degrees, of everything that comes in. And so we're using the heating process and able to take the air, energy that comes from that. As well as that, obviously, pre-formed small bottles arrive in here. When we're blowing those, we're using heat to blow them, and then we're using chillers to then set the bottle. All of that air and energy that's captured is able to be recycled. So that's exactly the process that you're hearing about. It's allowing us to upcycle and take the energy through. As well as that, there's not a huge number of people. So we run 5 shifts. There's about 240 people that work here. And there's lots of automation. So one of my favorite things is the little whizzy guided vehicles. So no drivers, everything's moving around, which is incredible. We use palletizers. So really looking at how technology, back to Dan's question, can really help us play a part in reducing our improving our operations. And then just to show you in the top, right up on the screen, just to show you that's sort of one half of our refrigeration. So really, it's lots of massive technology that's allowing us to do our chilling and cooling processes. And I guess that's what's quite unique about us as well, is we need heat and we also need chilling, so we're able to employ this circular economy to heat. So as you heard about some of the strategies from an energy perspective, there was two things I just wanted to share. So the first was, how do we actually reduce our temperatures or reduce the energy that we're using on a daily basis? So typically you pasteurize up to 90 degrees. We're actually doing it up to 85 degrees, and we found that's perfectly fine. So that small reduction is allowing us to reduce energy consumption. We also melt our frozen juices that come in using hot water rather than steam. That again is reducing our energy consumption. So every step that happens in this factory, we're asking ourselves, is there a better way? Is there a more sustainable way to do this? And obviously, every time you reduce energy, not only is it good for the planet, but in the current crisis, it's probably good for your pocket as well. And then equally, as we said, it's this whole idea of using the heat pumps to be able to circulate and reuse energy that otherwise just disappears. You're doing all of this hard work, and this energy tends to just exit. So capturing that and circulating that background was a really important part of our process. And I won't try and explain it in too much technical detail because Gaia are better at doing that than me. But there's a pretty picture for you of what your heat pumps look like. I thought I'd include that in there for you. And as I said earlier, the e-trucks as well, so hopefully you'll get to see them driving around. It's really exciting to see them. We started waving at them and realised they probably think we're a bit strange when we get excited. But really able to do that round trip for us every day. We've got specialist chargers to fast charge the trucks to be able to bring them out and see that we're able to take that through. And so the very first drink that came off the line here in the blender was actually our carbon neutral OJ. I think we've got some around here as well today for those here. And that was really important for us because orange is about 17% of our total volume. So we wanted to really start looking at how can we decarbonize, how can we reduce that. And then we also choose some offsetting through a big rewild project that we do. So we looked at nature-based solutions that sit alongside this as well. So really important sort of way of telling that story, getting everyone involved in how this matters to us. And obviously our e-trucks are bringing our orange juice in as well. So it was a very nice joined up story. And the big piece for all of us, and I guess why we're happy to host you all today as well, is how do we help tell that story to everyone else? We don't want to just do this and sit on it and be happy that we've achieved it. A big piece for us is about inspiring that wider change. So we'll tell you the story warts and all. We'll tell you what's not worked and what's gone well. We're happy to share that. We have our competitors in. We have lots of different companies coming in to look around and learn because ultimately, fundamentally, we all have to change how we operate for the future. Manufacturing, agriculture, these are all things we need to think about how we transition to low carbon ways of doing this. So if we can share our story and help others in a little way, we're happy to do so. Thank you. Right.
Thank you. Oh, one question.
Oh.
I think Willy Wonka would be jealous here. Yeah.
It's a cool place.
It's a cool place. I have a question. I recently read that you had to ditch your plant-based milky smoothie line.
Yeah.
And there was a very funny reply on social. Unfortunately, just like Shakira's hips, our sales figures don't lie.
It's true.
But it must be painful.
It is. Well, plant-based milk was an interesting one for us.
Yeah.
As we say, everything we do comes from nature. We were really proud of that. I think people weren't quite sure because they think we're a smoothie company. When they saw it in the bottle, I don't think they realised it was a plant-based milk.
Okay.
So despite hearing there's a consumer desire for it, we weren't seeing the numbers to match up. So it doesn't mean we won't use it as an ingredient in other products in the future.
Just the proposition wasn't...
The proposition wasn't quite suited at the time. And I think because we're in the chiller, we're in a bottle, it's just perhaps not what you're used to seeing in that
So
place.
maybe later.
But yeah, thanks for calling out our social team. They'll love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker, our third speaker, is the head of corporate social responsibility and communications at LIDL in the Netherlands, Quirijn de Weert.
Is this okay, my clock? I don't mention the clock. Yeah, now it's okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Quirijn de Weert. I work for LIDL. You perhaps know the company. We are a supermarket. 440 stores in the Netherlands. But perhaps you don't know how big we are. We are the third retailer in the world. We are part of the Schwarz family, family-owned business in Germany based. Well, today I would like to, first of all, of course, thank you for the invitation. I'm quite a vreemde eend in de bijt. I'm not sure how you call that in English. But I haven't done anything with this factory, so don't blame me or don't say anything that we're proud to be here. It's not my responsibility. I'm here actually to tell you something about retail, about supermarkets, and how do we change, because I think that's the word that everybody has to do. We have to change. Change what we did. Yes. I did already. I had my master's. I went to the university in Amsterdam and I did my master's in how do young adults choose the wrong path. So actually I was educated to be a psychologist in youth jails. But I didn't choose for that because I was also quite commercial and I really want to make results. So I thought I can go to the supermarket. It's quite a well-known business. We only sell bananas at the end of the day. But I'm very interested in of course, the behavior of people and why do you choose something? Because I know nowadays the biggest challenges that we're facing has to do anything with behavior. Why do we choose? Why do you choose plant-based? Why do you choose meat? It's actually quite funny how many similarities there are between my master and my work now. Well, of course, LIDL is quite big. Schwarz Group, the third retailer in the world, 33 countries in Europe. And we don't exist only from LIDL, we also Kaufland, that's our small sister, we have it in Eastern Europe. Schwarz Produktion, so we have our own companies, so you have to think about, we have our own baking companies, we have our own nuts, and PreZero, our recycling firm, and we have Suez in the Netherlands, we did an M&A there. So actually what you see here, what's quite interesting, is also the vision of our group, is that we have the whole chain in our own hands. From beginning, so from the production, until the end of the manufacturing. So that's quite interesting. The start of LIDL started in Neckarsulm. We still have this store. It looks a little bit different, luckily now. But we started in the 1930s in Germany. And then we expand in the Netherlands. And what we say, of course, we are discount formula. So we have, for your example, we only have 3,500 articles in our assortment. And to compare it with Albert Heijn or Jumbo, they have like 40,000. So that's a big advantage now for us. We started in 1997 in the Netherlands with our store in Uden. And last year we celebrated our 25th birthday in the Netherlands. We have 4.5 million Dutch people who visit us every week in 440 stores around in the Netherlands. And 6 distribution centers, and our headquarters is in Huizen in het Gooi. So what is our proposition? What do we promise our customers? It's actually that we have 2,500. It's a little bit, well, we have our, if you come to us as a customer, you know that we have very nice action articles. So we have sometimes a little bit more, but we have in the base, we have 2,500 high quality products for a good price, of course, because we are also quite price driven. And the 2,500 products, 70% we source internationally. So they're lying actually in all of Europe. And 30%, so that's actually our, of course, our fresh products that we source, of course, in the Netherlands and in every country in Europe. Well, we are well known in the Netherlands for the best fruit and vegetables. Actually what we did, we took 2 parties out of the chain, so we make the chain a little bit shorter. Actually, no, same comparison what you did here at the blender as well. And that's the reason that we can provide them with such a good quality. Our business operations is, of course, very well known for our simplicity. actually, we are a company, we don't tell a lot about ourselves, but we have a clear range. What we have are like hardlopers, we call it in the Netherlands. So actually, we don't sell 50 different kind of pindakaas, peanut butter. We only have one with or without nuts. But that one is the best and the highest quality of the nuts that you can have in every own brands. So our own brands, we only actually sell own brands. We do have some A brands, but we do have a lot of our own brands. And it's the highest quality that you can get. Efficiency is, of course, something that we are very fond of, and that we are one of our, I think, we are very good in it, is, of course, that we have 70% we source for Europe. So that can be quite efficient, and, of course, our cost awareness. But now, that's a very good, interesting story. But how do we look at sustainability? What's our vision about that? We do know that if we want to become very successful in the future, of course, we will see that there will be a lot of challenges that we're facing. Our impact on the food sector is incredible. We are responsible for 25 to 33% of the greenhouse gases, and of course also on biodiversity loss. So it's not only that it's not like something that nice to have, it's a must to also exist in the future. Of course, we know that 50 or 70% more food will be needed in 2050 than in 2010 due to the increase, of course, of the world population. 1/3 of our food is wasted, and 1/3 of the world's population is undernourished. That's to say, when you see those numbers, it's quite interesting and also a big contrast, of course. Another quarter is struggling with obesity. So half of the people currently do not have a healthy diet. 1/3 of the world population is working in the food chain. For us, it's our vision and our mission to make a sustainable and healthy lifestyle accessible and affordable for everyone. Because we believe you don't have to be rich to have a healthy lifestyle. We know, perhaps when you're from Holland, you know for instance, Markt with a Q. It was a very nice and very exclusive supermarket. They had a lot of very sustainable food, but was so expensive, nobody could afford that. So we believe that it has to be affordable for everyone. We have our sustainability strategy, and it's like a very nice strategy, but we did a lot on sustainability. For instance, we stopped in 2018. We announced that we would stop with selling tobacco. That wasn't something that we had to do, but it was because we don't believe in it anymore. We don't want to sell it anymore. And what you see now, we have a strategy because we want to all the initiatives has to combine and to be also in the DNA of our company. Otherwise, it don't work. We don't get it internally, but also not externally. Nobody will believe you. And we have 6 pillars, and actually 3 focus points. So it's good for the planet, good for you, and good for people. Well, everybody will know some kind of strategies, of course. Well, we have, of course, we are responsible for protecting the climate. So we are reducing our CO2 emissions in line with Paris Climate Agreement. We set also the SBTIs, but we don't have yet a defined goal on Scope 3, which we are currently now working on. And we ask for our suppliers to set also climate targets. And we wait now for the flag method also to set a new goal on Scope 3. We are, as a company, climate neutral from 2022 for our own organization. What we did, and what I really found it interesting also for here and for your ambition as Innocent, we made our LIDL 0. Perhaps you've drove along the A6 in Almere. And this is like a building which is energy and CO2 neutral, which means actually we have 1,700 solar panels on the roofs, and we are using, actually all is wooden. So wooden built, when you come inside, you see, you don't recognize it as a LIDL. It's actually all of wood. So we can adjust it to somewhere else. We were the first supermarket to announce that we don't fly in any more of the fruit and vegetables. We have a sustainable transport. We should do more. I just read that Albert Heijn is now doing today. Rotterdam is providing from electric vehicles, which is quite good initiative. We have the 2 stars green and lean, which is quite interesting. And of course, what we have such a huge impact on our agriculture is on our planet and the respecting of biodiversity. And what we see here is that we have to do more on this topic because nobody didn't have really the attention, also not in our company, but we are seeing now, of course, the deforestation. We have to do more about that because it's such a huge problem. We do our greening our stores, our distribution centers and our offices, but there is a lot to do. What you see here is a practical example how we improve our assortment also for our customers to embrace how you can buy a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. We did it with the bio-organic cheese, 3-star of the Beter Leven keurmerk. And it is also, of course, always you have to work together with your ambitious suppliers. Saving resources, that's something, of course, that's really our point, because we are, as a discount, we don't want to waste anything. We want to improve, we have to want to use everything in our chain. So, for instance, we have our plastic strategy. Of course, it's our how we pack the packaging. So we are also part of the plastic packs, of course. And we want to have less plastic, recyclable packaging, and of course more recycled materials. We have the road to zero waste, and actually we got the certificate. We are 2 certificated. So that means that 95% of every waste that we are using in our own operations, we recycle it again, which is quite unique. We only have 5% waste. And halving our food waste, which is quite, every supermarket has it. So what we do as supermarkets, we set a target in the future, but the way you come there, you can, of course, go for it yourselves. And what we did was a really interesting, this is, you see in the picture as well, we did that at the last day of, sorry, my English, German and Dutch is going together. At the last TAT date, I have the feeling that we're all here Dutch, but sorry for that. So as the last date of expiring date, we did a 25-cent sticker on it. And it actually was a great success. It's still a great success because we are reducing our food waste. Our customers have very good quality products for low prices. And we normally have to pay other suppliers in the chain to get rid of our stuff. So that's ridiculous. So but what is interesting, I was for 3 years, I was in the sales department, I was a sales manager, and I knew all the processes there. And then you think about it from with other glasses on the same process, and then you can improve so many things. It was quite practical. We just had to say, okay, we do it on the last day, we put a sticker on it. It wasn't like very unique. You just have to think about it, and then combine a couple of processes, and then you have a great solution on something that, and actually we earn also a lot of money about it now. And a commercial company, everybody loves that, of course. We have our recycled plastic strategy. I talked about that. And acting fairly. That's one of our pillars. I'll go through it. Because everybody thinks we have cheap products, so low pricing products. It has to be somewhere in the chain. Somebody won't eat a good sandwich of that. But we say, no, we can't do that anymore. We have to protecting our human rights. And last week, I'm not sure if you know about Question Mark. It's an NGO. They do a lot of research on how we're protecting our human rights and our chains. And actually, we were the best out of the, well, it's still best, quite worse how we, quite bad how we treat our people in the chains as supermarkets. We have to do that a lot more better. But we do have some more policy about that. We have a diverse and inclusive workaround. And of course, are raising our animal welfare standards. We have our own private brand. It's called Way to Go. And what we do with that brand is that we are paying living income to the farmers that are, and we have transparency actually in the whole chain. And we pay living income to the farmers for cocoa and cashew as well. Perhaps you're well known with this initiative. It's Kipster. You don't know it? No, it's like the most sustainable and egg in the world, animal friendly. We have now 3 farms of Kipster, and they're also expanding now to the US. And we're also introducing them, of course, to colleagues of us in Europe for LIDL. And what they are doing is actually, it's from Ruud Zanders. Ruud Zanders is a partner of us, and he was a chicken farm. He had a chicken farm, but he got broke, and he actually got the opportunity to look at the chain and to build a new chain and to say, okay, it has to be different. Chickens are more farm animals. They have to be the environment that they're growing up have to change. And he actually did a whole chain on a new base. And well, the taste is actually quite good. It's definitely worthwhile buying it. And it's also the whole story and the whole thought about behind it is amazing. Also, of course, promoting health. One of our, I think, maybe our most important pillar is, of course, our healthy assortment. Is that our own brand has to be like 20% less sugar and salt in our own products by 2025. But also making healthier choices for our customers, of course, by helping them recipes and also education. Well, we have our trommel zonder rommel. I'm not sure how you call it in English, but we have our school campaigns, and there we do educate children also to making more and more healthier lifestyle starting at school. I was talking about that. We don't sell any cigarettes and tobacco in 2021. We are still the first Dutch retailer who does that. Next year, of course, at January, there's a legislation, so no one can buy any cigarettes more at the supermarkets. Yes, this is also last but not least. I think it's maintaining dialogue. Well, it's now a monologue, but conversation with stakeholders is for us, of course, very interesting and very important. We produce every year a report. This year it will be GRI reporting. Next year we do like an update report. So we can also monitor our goals. And of course we are more transparent to our customers about all the steps you are taking, about our sustainable and healthy products. This is one of the I'm out of my time. One focus point is the fiber meter. We put it on our packaging of our bread, and we saw that customers were buying more fibered bread when we were transparent about how many fibers were in the bread. So there is a big responsibility for us as a retailer to be transparent about those kind of things, very interesting things for customers. So as fibers, but also be transparent about eco-labeling. I think that will be our biggest challenge, to inform more customers to make a good decision where to buy your products. And I think that's, yeah, I will. Yeah, we did it also, but you will. Thank you. I will keep it there. I'm out of my time.
Thank you, Corinne. We want to redecorate the stage for our first panel discussion, but I think we got a question from online for you. Maybe you can see it on the screen. Else, I have a question. You told me beforehand that that LIDL is mostly family-owned.
Yeah.
So you can move faster. Does it also help in doing more good?
What do you mean doing more good?
Well, how green is the family? I mean, you don't have big shareholders that only look at money.
No.
Does that make a difference? Is it?
I think so. I think then you can operate for the long term.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's, you have more freedom, you have more. So that kind of thing. So that we can choose not to sell any tobacco anymore. I think we can make that decision because we don't only have to think about revenue.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that really works that way. I mean, okay. There's a question here. Why does LIDL not communicate more about sustainability? Is that true, actually?
I think we didn't communicate at all.
Okay.
Since 5 years we do, and we think we are doing quite a good. We do communicate about it, but we have to be also geloofwaardig.
Yeah, you have to be believable.
Believable. Yeah, you can't be like communicate, but we don't want to do anything about greenwashing. We don't want to do that. So what a big issue for us is the lack of knowledge for with our customers.
Yeah.
It's so huge that we can, for instance, we introduced the way to go cashew nuts.
Yes.
Well, there is a lot to do in the cashew nut chain. They're coming from Tanzania. They grow in Tanzania. Then we ship them to India, and then we come back to Europe.
Yeah.
And we made a solution that we build a factory in Tanzania.
So everything is processed there.
Everything was processed there. 22,000 kilometers that you don't need to ship. And I was saying that, but everybody like,
it's a beautiful story, yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story, but everybody like, okay, so your other cashew nuts are still going from...
Yeah, making the circle.
You're making the circle. So it is quite heavy. So we just want to do good, we want to do things, and then afterwards we can, we have to do it step by step, of course, because customers also can't do like a huge step.
Yeah.
It has to be affordable, of course.
Yeah.
But with that way to go option in your assortment, you can give them the opportunity to choose. It's of course a little bit more expensive, but we have to tell those stories better, I guess.
Yeah.
But we are always in the it's quite a.
So it was a good question.
Always a good question.
We want to have the bar. There's another
now I'm
question.
off, I guess.
Okay, stay here and please come back, Rina and Joost, for the panel discussion, and we need the bar stools. The speaker's corner is turning into a bar now. Thanks for the questions online. Please keep sending them.
Where do you want us?
Where do you want us?
Further in order? Or?
Lady, gentlemen. Lady.
Lucky you.
Yes.
4 girls at home.
This is a breeze then.
Yeah, let's start with some statements. Actually, I want to ask you all the same question. do we all radically have to change our diets, Carina?
I think we need to be more thoughtful of our diets. It's all about balance. It's about, I think, actually, to your point earlier, do we understand what we're eating, how it's made, where it comes from, and then make some choices from there? I think the reality is we are going to have to change to make sure there's sustainable food for the future. But I think it's understanding it, being informed, and then making those choices.
The first step is understanding.
I think otherwise, what are you changing to? Because often we see this debate that people are like, oh, this is the next best thing. But actually, everything is so interlinked and intertwined. Have you really thought about the life cycle analysis of that? Is it definitely the right choice? So for me, it's understanding before jumping.
What about you, Joost?
I think everything has a limit. So yes, I do think that we should not overeat. Honestly speaking, I'm really a meat lover. But meanwhile, I think on average we eat 3 days a week vegetarian at home. So I kind of compensate, or we are kind of compensate. Honestly speaking, my 4 girls at home, they are the driving force. I'm a follower. But it feels good. Yeah, and so I think so. We have to. Yeah. In everything. Also with traveling, it's the same with food. We have to be sure that we... Yeah, there is a limit. Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah, definitely. Start today.
Yeah, you started?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's, what we see in our company is that also the people who work, it's not only like, if you have your strategy on sustainability, it's also the people who want to work with you. No, like, I'm like what I am, what's ook weer?
Flexitarian?
Nee, je weet wat ik wil zeggen.
Generation Z.
Millennial. I'm millennial, and we have Gen Z. Yeah. They are not talking about sustainability. They are acting. Yeah. And my generation is talking about it, and sometimes acting, sometimes not. But now the people are working with me. They act. They only act. So they are like, okay. Of course, they're all vegetarian. Yeah. They don't want to lease a car. They're like, no way, just go by train. So they really act. They have another perspective, and they are also a lot to do with so it's behavior.
And do the other generations within your company listen to them, or are they inspired? Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, because they act, because it's very authentic. Yeah. It's not that they're like, and they are actually quite not so moralistic. I think they're more be pragmatic. The change. Yeah, pragmatic, and be the change you want to see in the world, and also act on that. Yeah. And they do that.
That's quite hopeful.
Very hopeful.
Okay. Yeah. Are there questions from our live audience here? No hands. No hands. Then I have more questions. Every change for the good costs money. I think you don't have to answer because
it didn't cost anything here.
No, was it? I mean, then you really have to talk to Coca-Cola and say, "Will you pick up the bill?" How does something like that work?
It did, although in this example there was obviously cost savings to be made as well. So I think there is this general assumption that sustainability costs you more money, but actually if you think about a lot of it, it's about reducing, it's about saving. So there are efficiencies which can equate to cost savings. So build your case. Like there's no different to anything else in business for sustainability. We should still be building a case of why this is good business sense. And it might be through savings, it might be through opportunity. So LIDL might want to work with us more because we're doing sustainability. There may be more commercial opportunity.
So it opens other doors.
I think you have to think smart and creatively around, yes, there will be costs, but also will there be long-term savings, and even in the near term, are there ways to save that? So I think it's always building that business case. And I do think trying to change that narrative or that thought process internally that sustainability equals more expensive or harder to live or harder to do, and actually showing this real benefit to some of this change as well.
I mean, we have no choice. We don't want to have a choice either. Of course, it costs more money, a lot of money, for us, for our own operation. But what if we don't? What if we don't invest, and sooner or later, innocent or whatever customer is asking us, we want to award you, but you have to have this in place properly, otherwise You're no longer. That's this whole scope 3 issue. Huh?
Yeah.
If you don't deliver, then you do not participate. So
It's a must-do.
it is a must-do. There is
Yeah.
no. Sorry, Gerda? It's a license to operate. Yeah, absolutely.
One more time.
It's a license to operate for the
It's-
near future.
It's a
for
license
everyone.
to operate.
And honestly, I do it privately myself as well. I invested way too much money in panels and heat pumps, and does it pay off? No, it doesn't. Yeah, a few months last year,
Yeah.
but it definitely doesn't pay off. But
Pays off for the planet for the long term.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
And you need pioneers.
You do. You've got to
Yeah,
say
I mean,
but
the first is always the most expensive.
Yeah, but if you nowadays invest in a heat pump at home, you're not really a
No,
pioneer
I
anymore.
really was talking about the blender. This is a pioneer project. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw a
true.
hand there. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. And great stories. But I was intrigued also by this discussion and looking also what can we do as consumer, because we're all consumers. And going to Corinne's image from going from production, you ended up in the supermarket. So I missed the last step in consumer. What can we do there? So how can we change that the consumer can make the impact? In fact, also because it also has an impact on the whole chain.
From choices that we make as consumers on a daily basis. So
By saving energy, because there's storage at the consumer, there's waste at the consumer. So what can we do in the chain to help there?
Yeah. So I think from our perspective as a business, so looking at large format, so reducing packaging per litre, so the choices that we make within a retail setting is really helpful. Recycling, it's still, I mean, here in the Netherlands you have DRS, which is amazing, and we campaigned to be allowed in when we weren't allowed in originally. So I think more countries, even recycling the material, consumers taking on those behavioural changes as well. And then talking and encouraging everyone to make those changes also as well.
Walking the talk. Yeah.
Another question of Gerda.
My name is Gerda Verburg. I hear you talking a lot about the interest of the company and the cost effectiveness and the cost and the benefits, etc. I would like to hear a little bit more about the impact on well-being. And you talk a lot about diets. I would like to hear you about lifestyle, because each of you can also contribute to a better and more healthy lifestyle of everyone, avoiding or preventing much more depressions with young people, the same Generation Z and others who have a lot of burnout and depressions nowadays.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
I guess a few things from our side. So one, fruit is fun. Have you ever looked at a banana and not smiled? I think is a really important message. But actually health and well-being, exactly that. Goodness of fruit and veg for us. That's why we're always talking about it. That's why we make our drinks really colourful and inspiring, because people aren't consuming enough. So how do we make it fun, make it engaging? We also use the power of our brand in that way as well. So we're, as you said, with our social media, it is very fun, it's very engaging. So how can we use that to bring joy to everyone and inspire you to live better, live well, and find ways to do that? And then I said the third piece, I guess, is nature. Being out in nature, being around green, like even when the sun comes out, we all feel so much better from a sort of resilience and mental health perspective. So when we did our Big Rewild campaign, which we launched last year, every market where we sell our drinks has partnered with a nature program. So whether that's through orchards or tree projects, not just because of the climate benefit, but actually the mental health and well-being. So in London, we rewilded Trafalgar Square, so a very grey area. And actually that was to be able to talk about climate in an engaging and more understandable way because of nature. But the most comments we had was actually about mental health and well-being and just how much better you felt to be in and amongst nature. So I think there's a role for us to tie climate and mental health and well-being together around this nature story.
You want to add something?
Well, I think it's also the Generation Z is also looking for responsibility, and they want to, for instance, at my company, they want to have a job with responsibility because they really want to make impact. They're not so fond of jobs where you can, like the political system, or they don't have a message on that one. So they really want to make an impact. They really want to have a pragmatical impact, and I think that's also something with the culture of your company and how you want to provide them also with responsibility, that they can really make an.
My point was more on mental health and well-being indeed, and what you can do for society as a retailer and as Innocent, and of course Gia has to provide and do it. You have to do Joost. You have to do it to tell proud stories to your four women at home.
I have 4 women at home. That's one thing. No, but honestly, Gerda, it's amazing. We have now this new strategy only shortly, but last week or the week before, I was introduced to a newcomer within our company, and he said the only reason I was triggered to come and work here was the fact that you guys try to do something better for the world. I said, whoa, something works here. So that's really, I mean, that's also well-being, because that's a person with a drive to work with us to do something better.
We've got a question from YouTube, I guess. Is an efficient supply chain a barrier for sustainable initiatives? Who wants to give a reply or react to this?
Won't say no.
No.
I mean, I don't think you've ever fixed everything. Even if you're efficient, I'm pretty sure there's still changes you can make within your supply chain. Again, it's back to that. Do you understand your operations? Have you mapped out your total footprint, everything that's happening? There will always be improvements. Even in an efficient supply chain, I'm pretty sure you've
So it's not a
solved
contradiction
everything.
in terminology.
No, obviously
it's not a barrier.
Yeah.
I guess what we did, for instance, with our fruit and vegetable suppliers, we made it more efficient. So and then you can also build like a partnership, and then you can build that. We are only sell now Planet Proof, for instance, but it's like it's actually when it's more efficient, you can build like more partnerships, I guess, and you do it more together.
I guess the only thing on, if you are truly efficient, the low-hanging fruit perhaps has gone. So some of those quick wins that can inspire and motivate may be harder because you've already tackled something.
But really investing in change pays off.
Yeah, definitely. And we should do that. We must do that,
You mentioned it before, the greenwashing part. I mean, a lot of companies, especially in food, are guilty or somewhat guilty of greenwashing. I can imagine that when you talk within your own company, some ideas just are just for the forefront. How do you react, or how is the reaction within your company to these things? Is there a discussion? Is there open debate?
We are actually, we don't based in Rotterdam, but we do have the Rotterdam mentality that we have. Just first do it, prove it, and then talk about it. Because we're like, in sustainability, there are a lot of long-term goals, and you could, how you come there, you can choose yourself, but you have to pioneer, you have to practice, you have to do something, but it's I think that's the thing in our company. We're very honest to each other, and is it really true? Is it really a solution for the problem that you have, or is it like a nice communication thing? Because we know what the problems are.
I can tell you, Dan, that in my company, greenwashing is extremely important. We are a stock-listed company, so we have to avoid everything what comes close to greenwashing. So in August, more details come out, but we will do this with certification. So, of course, German, the TÜV is going to certify our products and processes before we label it, and that's the guarantee. And also, it's the exposure to the market, to the world, that we avoid everything what seems to be greenwashing. That's absolutely not what we want.
You wanted to say something about it?
Yeah. So for us, similarly, we have a lot of conversations about greenwashing. I think we've always thought about substantiation, making sure everything we say we truly believe, we've been doing it, we're walking the talk. I don't know if you have this term here in the but green hushing is being talked about a lot in the UK.
Take us to green hushing.
So greenwashing, rightfully so, regulations coming in, we're looking and making sure brands are true to what they're saying. But actually, some of that has become so hard. Even certifications solutions aren't always recognized. So the complexities of sustainability aren't necessarily being considered. So actually what you're seeing is many brands saying, well, there's just no point talking about anything. No. And that's a slight risk for me. I absolutely support not greenwashing, making sure you can substantiate. But if you stop the conversation completely, how do we change consumer behavior? How do we take everyone on this journey if all marketeers and businesses say, well, actually, it's not worth the risk anymore. And it also makes it harder to have that commercial benefit slightly, which helps you get the investment. So I think there's some real work to do to understand sort of green claims and the rules behind it. When we've looked at it before, it wasn't even looking at science-based targets or substantiation. So if that's not, what on earth do you want from a business? So I think there's a fine line at the moment to navigate.
You don't want fear to be
and that's sort
driving.
of, I think that's some of the debate we're seeing at the moment in the UK.
Great.
Perhaps one more add-on to that. We are lucky that we live in the Netherlands, that we have really qualitative good NGOs, that they are very keen on.
They're really in your neck.
Yeah, definitely. But they make the business better. They do.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're very valuable stakeholders for us as well.
We have a live question. Yeah.
Very inspirational speeches. Thank you very much, and very much in the spirit of the next Food Collective. So I'm pretty sure we can all sign all the three of you up to join. In that spirit, the Netherlands is really an agri-food powerhouse, and of course should be leading, we think, in the food transition. What's your point of view of the specifics in the Netherlands and collaboration here that could make us a force for good?
Look at you two for that.
Can you repeat that, please, Manfred? Because
the three of you are all based in the Netherlands, and you've built factories here, and the Netherlands is really a powerhouse in the agri-food sector. So could you share your views how we, by collaborating better, could even be a bigger force for good in the food transition?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to walk the talk. So we have to show what's possible. We have to engage, in our case, with our customers, what we do. And we pray our story in order, it's business, true, but still we pray our story in order because we believe we really can contribute. And it's a knowledgeable, a number one in R&D, or number one probably not, but a very dominant country, Netherlands, when it's about food processing. So Wageningen University is well recognized in the entire world. We have a lot of leading companies. You're working for one of them. Okay, not really any Dutch-based company anymore, but it used to be at least. R&D is still here. We talk Unilever. I think these dominant companies and universities have the chance to expose. And I learned today in this meeting this morning that Gerda already said, not good enough yet. So we still have to work, and we have to do it all together, I guess.
There's another question online. What can tech companies as a branch do more for sustainability?
Yeah, my CEO would say just sell more. That's very easy.
Shout more?
Sell more.
Sell more.
Yeah.
Sell more.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, if I can take that one as well, we are an engineering company, and we continuously need to improve and dig into the details. What can we do to improve? And it's not always easy because many of these people are in the business for a long time. That's all fantastic. They have great experience, but it's also sometimes difficult to change their mindsets. So, this continuous change and challenge them at the end of the day will absolutely contribute to more sustainability in the food chain. Yeah.
What I also think is that we will become more data-driven, of course, and also for future, for monitoring what are interventions, what they have to do with, do they really set for the goal? Are they really improving to get our goals better? For instance, the SBTI, the Scope 3 emissions, how we set them, how we monitoring them, the data set. I think technology would definitely help there.
Is there also a role for AI Yeah.
We're using AI at the moment with our grapes,
Can you
actually.
give an example?
Yeah, sure. So we have something called the Farmer Innovation Fund. So we provide some grants to our suppliers to look at how they can farm differently. So our grape supplier is using AI technology to predict disease within the plant. So it means that you're able to prevent rather than treat and use as much pesticides and chemicals afterwards. So, and we've got different plots going at the moment to look at how the AI technology is therefore reducing the carbon footprint by being able to predict.
And it proves to be effective?
So far, we're on. The problem with fruit is you've got to wait another season to get another round of data. So we're in year 1 at the moment, but he's my favourite farmer. He's so excited. But it's brilliant to see how that's potentially going to show using data. And I think that's the role of tech, right? How can they open source and allow us to collaborate better on this information so we can take action rather than everyone working in silos?
The collaboration part, do you also talk to counterparts at other supermarkets about this? About maybe sharing some data or... not the Nielsen part, but I mean the part where you want to do good.
Yeah.
Do you sit together once a week, or how does it work?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, no.
No.
We do set goals, and we know, of course, what the challenges are that we're facing. We're facing them all together, and we do learn from each other, of course. But I think what really helps is, for now, we have actually quite not a failed agenda, also not with legislation. I think there has to be a role for the government as well. Yeah. Because now it's and also what to reply in your question, I think as a company, as a retail company, supermarket, we also we have 2,500 articles. My dream is that every article is sustainable, it's good, it's a good price. Everybody in the chain is paid good. Well, that's quite future perspective, but it's possible, and I think we have the energy to arrange that, because then you don't get the opportunity, you don't leave the choice of the transition at the customer level. Because you can't ask from people when they come into our stores that they have the knowledge that we have. They don't have it, so don't give them the choice. Yeah. And that's the thing that we are really have. For example, the Nutri-Score, of course, we know the N-word, whatever.
There's been some debate.
There's a lot of debate on it, but it's of course it's a quite simplistic, simple instrument to give richting to the direction to the customer. And we tested Eco Score, which is actually the variance on the eco labeling. And we have to improve a little bit more, and it's also developing, but it's,
Quirine, while Aafke is walking to the next question asker, what do you expect more or differently from the government?
Yeah, what do you expect from the government? I mean, it has to come from above. You just mentioned, but what do you expect from the government?
Yeah, I know. I said it. I know it, but I'm not sure what I want to say now. I will talk to you later then. No. Clarity on the rules, for example, for LNV, for our agriculture. Just say what we have to do.
Tell us. Like no more tobacco, much.
No more tobacco. Okay. We know that it's not that's quite too clear, perhaps, but it's still it's in January it will come. So like more rules, it's perhaps bad for a commercial, but just say what we have to do, because now we're in discussions to be transparent, to make a dashboard, and I'm like, okay, guys, just say what we have to do. Just say it.
So tax on meat.
Tax on meat.
Or not subsidized meat.
Yeah, but
that's a clear rule.
True, but what we see about that's very interesting. I'm not going to say that now, but we're going to test a pilot to make it more easy for meat lovers to have a vegetarian alternative, to buy a vegetarian alternative. Okay. And we're going to test also with WRI and with the Wageningen University on which indicators customers are the decision, the behavior. Where do they base it on? Do they base it on because it's more healthy, because it's more cheap, or because it has less carbon footprint?
Taste.
Taste, but you don't know that when you're in front of the shelf.
You will.
Yeah, you will
come back,
return. But that's the thing, because you have, for instance, everybody goes on another assumption or knowledge. You don't. Some people really want a healthy lifestyle. Some people only want to make their really concerns about the climate. So everybody has another reason to buy something or not, and we want to. Make an this is a pilot that we're going to do, and to have a look, because when we're not going to buy meat anymore, okay, perhaps.
So that's where your study psychology comes in handy to
Exactly.
nudge the consumer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, there was another question. Oh, there is another question here. I'll come back to you later. How do you do the transition in an existing plant? So a factory that already exists.
I think that's me, right? Yeah, so first of all, it all starts with analysis. Very simple, basic analysis, and especially the heat balance.
Heat is everything.
Energy, energy balance, heat balance, and from there we take it. So as I said in my presentation, you first start at the actual process. Where is the low-hanging fruit? What can we do to optimize? And downtime is an important consumer of energy. So there you start. And then the next one is a recycle, and the third one is upcycle. So you start at the basis with process analysis. That's how we start. Yeah.
So call Joost. Call Joost.
Call me. Don't call me, by the way. I put you through.
He puts you through. No, I think it's very particular on the case, of course, on the factory.
Yeah, it's very specific per site.
Well, that's the thing, of course, with our Kipster example. They build a new chain, of course. It's far more hard to change the system.
Yeah.
Definitely,
A question there.
Yeah, thank you for your very interesting and inspiring stories. I have a slightly different question. Do you have or foresee any issues on the human capital side, like resources or knowledge? And what are they? And especially in reaching your mission?
Do you mean
People.
Yeah, the people, but do you mean
people, educated people, people in any human capital?
right?
Yeah.
Who can react on that?
I think everyone.
Yeah.
You
I
want
have
first?
always my sales colleagues are very angry about me because everybody wants to work at LIDL nowadays, young people, because we have a purpose and we are doing a lot of making good impact. But then in the meantime, when they're on the work floor, they just really need to get a good talk with the suppliers and whatever. So it's it's very good to get them inside, but then when they're not doing their jobs anymore, or when they're doing their jobs and the sustainability is not quite a big subject of their jobs, it's quite harder. But it's for the knowledge, we actually know what we have to do. Can I say that? Yeah.
I think for us, there's a shortage of people with the knowledge on sustainability, on automation, all the technology and innovation that's coming in. We've been talking about ChatGPT at work a lot, and what that do you use the same term for it here?
Yeah.
The AI, and we're like, what on earth does that mean for jobs of the future? So I think the knowledge shift is going to be quite fundamental of how businesses innovate and operate. But even for us, we're looking for a sustainability manager here at the factory, at the blender, if anyone knows of anyone, that's my plug. But actually finding capital in this space and this technology as it all develops and thinking about sustainability, I think is an area I do foresee that we're going to need a shift and a step up in that.
Right.
I have even a slight different view on this, but because on one hand, I just said young people want to work for us because we do something for the planet, but still we have a lot of operational people we still need.
Yeah, true.
Very difficult to get them.
Yeah.
Don't know where they have disappeared, but they're gone. For whatever reason. So that is the balance and the conflict. So that's a huge challenge, honestly,
Yeah, we see that as well. at our stores. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to have the last question to you guys. It's yes or no question.
That's easy.
That's quick.
It's a
Is it
difficult
easy? Is it
dilemma.
easy?
It's easy or it's a dilemma.
Let's
yeah.
start with you, Corinne. Do we pay too little for our food?
Yes.
Joost?
I say yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, 3 yeses. I say yes to 4 yeses. I want to thank you very much. There's no more questions? No. I want to thank you very much, Corinne, Joost, and Carina, for your wonderful
Thank you.
stories and panel discussion.
No problem.
Thank you.
While the other guests are going to be mic'd, we're going to play a little quiz to fill up the time. It's a pub quiz, and it's called Bottle Up or Bottle Down. Does everybody have a bottle? Sponsored bottle? You can win the first package of our test batch of Dream Butter, Drone Butter. It's very easy. Just answer by putting up or down the bottle. Be honest. If you have the wrong answer, you have to put your bottle back on the table. The first question: what butter falls outside of the dairy protection program in Europe? Up, peanut butter. Down, cocoa butter. What butter protection falls outside of the European protection? Peanut butter or cocoa butter? You all are right. This was a trick first question. It's both of them, cocoa butter and, of course, peanut butter. But now you get the hang of it. The first real question. Small family farms around the world produce how much of the world's food today? Bottle up, 1/4. Bottle down, 1/3. Small family farms produce worldwide how much of the world's food today? Bottle up, 1/4. Bottle down, 1/3. The right question, the right answer is down, 1/3. Next question. What contains more protein? Up, steak. Down, broccoli. Up, steak, more protein. Down, broccoli. Who knows actually the right answer? Somebody with a study? No? It is broccoli, I just read. So it was down. Who's still left in the race? Hands. Okay. I just really found it on a scientific website. But everything is to be found online, of course, yeah. Okay. This I know very well the answer to. How many scientific tastes are there in our body? Up, 5. Down, 6. How many different flavors or tastes are there scientifically within our body? Up, 5. Down, 6. And the right answer is down, 6, because fattiness is also something we have recepting organic things for in our whole body. Who's still in the race? I have a last estimation question. Nobody? Hands? Already have a winner? Yes? Congratulations, yes. Is everybody mic'd, Kees? Yes, everybody's mic'd. Okay. Can I please introduce the panel and our guests that also will help me launch the Next Food Collective. Please welcome Gerda Verburg, Non-Executive Director of Next Food Collective, our former Minister of Agriculture. Gerda is a visionary leader in sustainability and food security. With her enormous experience at the UN, she has been driving global efforts to address changes in our food system. Gerda Verburg. Then we have our CEO of the Next Food Collective, Marjan Geluk. Marjan has over 30 years of experience in the food sector. She brings tons of knowledge on balancing ecological concerns with the growing demands of our food systems. Here's Marjan Geluk. And then the former board member of Tiffen. He's one of the founding fathers of the Next Food Collective. Here's Emmo Meijer. I'm too quick to have to come all the way from that space of the blender. Such a huge factory. And last but not least, Jan van Rijsingen, a seasoned entrepreneur and strong advocate for change by small and medium enterprises in the food sector. Jan van Rijsingen. So, welcome all. Let's start at the future. Gerda, what's the purpose of the Next Food Collective? What's your pitch?
My pitch is that miracles in innovation and transition in our Dutch food system and beyond is happening. But here in the Netherlands, miracles are happening in splendid isolation. And in Next Food Collective, we have the ambition to bring businesses, companies, and research and education institutions together to have a dialogue about potential opportunities, to have co-design, to have joint research, to have joint implementation, creating impact, and to jointly celebrate results and then roll it out, scale it up, first in the Netherlands and then beyond.
And then let's go a bit to the past. Emmo, what was the reason to start the Next Food Collective? I heard something about irritation.
Now, let me correct one thing. I was not one of the founders. So
okay.
Basically, I did a modest coordination effort. So that's quite different. But I worked a long time already for the food sector. And for me, the most important thing is that in face of all the transitions towards sustainability, that we should join efforts in the food sector. So the innovation, the food players should come together with a program that really makes the difference. And I'm stipulating this because I also worked for the chemical sector, even longer for the chemical sector than for the... So the agenda is now in the hands of The Hague, and even worse, Brussels. So, and we are close to that situation also in the food sector. And we still have the time there to set our own agenda. And that is so crucial. And that was also worth the traveling to this place. But okay, that's a different topic. Yeah.
But was there too much fragmentation between all these players? Or
yeah, well, the remarkable thing is that we have very strong food players, not only in the Netherlands, but in Western Europe. But in the Netherlands, I would say we are probably the strongest food innovation platform worldwide. And that was already visible in my time at Tiffen, that it was very difficult to bring them together in a joint effort. Everybody, every player had his own agenda, and to create a kind of common initiative, and that is really not necessary in view of the transitions, was lacking. So my point is really this is the time really to do it. And you can do it in a pre-competitive way. Many food players say, okay, we can't work together too closely, correct, when it is about implementation and so on. But there is a lot of flexibility when it comes to working together in innovation. And moreover, by joining your efforts, you get also access to large funding in the Netherlands, but also at the European level. So this is the moment, I think, to get these kind of things running. Yeah.
To collaborate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's now or never, to my opinion. Yeah.
Do I hear some hope still?
Well,
yeah,
I'm pretty positive.
Okay.
guy. I'm really positive about what we can do in the food sector. More positive than about public transport to this point.
No, but the
Still
important thing
Yes.
here is what Emmo is telling, and that's also what we discussed when I first met him in a virtual way, is that whatever happens, we should prevent that the agenda for the food sector is only dictated top down and is rolled out over the whole food sector, not only the farmers and other food producers, but the whole sector, either from The Hague or from the province capital or Europe. And it seems that we are heading into that direction. And we should prevent it, because the whole sector, the whole food value chain, all entrepreneurs, all university, everyone is too inventive and has too much motivation and drive to do it from the side of society, to have their own agenda. But then collaboration, real collaboration and celebration, the transition is necessary.
So we need to...
To build on the point of Gerda, the Food Collective is more or less what I call an horizontal platform. And what we need is more vertical integration from the agricultural producers up to the retail. And this is still not happening, so that we are really innovative in the whole value chain. So that could be a next step also for the Food Collective, to build this kind of vertical integration.
Well, let's go to you then, Marjan. What makes the next Food Collective different than from what happened before? How does it bring back the ball to our feet to get the initiative back?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, and thanks to Innocent and everybody that were here. I'm really, really happy to be here at the launch of Next Food Collective. Yeah, what is going to be different? Like Emma, I've been working in this space for a very, very long time, and what we've also always heard from people from outside the Netherlands, that the Netherlands is #1 in creating knowledge, in creating insights, in actually doing public-private partnerships. We're very, very strong in that. But what we need now is to make sure that the Netherlands also becomes the #1 in delivering impact. We have not been proud of the amount of impact we have created from a lot of hard work and a lot of great minds. But that's now what has to change, and what Emma is saying about involving farmers, involving the whole supply chain, that's actually one of the initiatives that we're really, really proud of, that Next Food Collective also aims to help in transition to a regenerative agriculture, and the companies that buy food that we've heard today, so from LIDL or from Innocent, have an extremely important role to play in that transition. It's not only on the farmers, it's on the whole chain.
And can you draw us what your method will be to get us to collaborate?
Yeah, there are so many things to say about that.
Yeah.
But maybe 3 points
that make it in 3 points.
I'd love
3
to
bullet
say.
points.
First of all, I think there are barriers to change. So it's very important, and we discussed it a little bit in the last panels, what needs to be solved, how do we pave the way to make sure that change can actually happen, and that needs to be an integral part of our program. I think a second part is how we design our collaborations. We need to, we have been working a lot with PhD students, and the relentless efforts that PhD students have to come to their publications, working day or night on that. It's with that same relentlessness that now in these new collaborations, we want to drive for impact. We will measure impact. That is what all our work together needs to be done. So that means a different role for the companies that are in Next Food Collective, that are not sitting by and saying, hey, what might come out of these collaborations? No, we will be expecting a lot from them to actually make the change. And I suppose the third point is about the teams. You were also talking about, from LIDL, who joins and what then happens in their jobs. Traditionally, in public-private partnerships, there are a lot of sustainability people, health people, R&D people. But for this change, we will need all the professions in companies. So in our programs, we will be looking at top management. We will be looking at the finance people. How do we source? How do we process? How do we save energy? So I think it will be a lot broader than where we have been.
Talking about broadness, Jan, what will be the role of the SMEs in the next food collective? How will they get them on board of this new collective?
Yeah, I think that's the great challenge to get them on board. As you probably know, 95% of the food companies are SMEs or SMEs plus, as I call them. They produce around 50% of the articles which you find in the supermarket, especially the private labels and the fresh part. And of course, if we can't get them in, we will never reach the goals we have set, and we will never come there. So the challenge is how to get them in. And well, we are thinking of field labs, valorization centers, where we can cluster them around sustainability teams and start with those companies who already have decided that it's essential for their future and who are in the phase that they are already wanting to act, and then show good successes. Why do we have so many pigs in my home province, Brabant? That's because one farmer started and his neighbor saw that he was successul, so he thought, I will do that too. Right. And that's how you disseminate results, just by showing around what's happening. Huh? And a lot of the SMEs don't have an R&D department. They are not interested on what's happening in 10 years' time because they don't know whether they are still there. And so they really are looking at what can I do now. And therefore, disclosure of existing knowledge is for them very important. And as Joost said, maybe a lot of things are already possible, but we don't know it. Huh? I have been leading a research team for 7 years when I just started my job or my working career after university. And what I learned that the questions which came from the company, 75% could be answered or almost answered by knowledge which was already developed somewhere in the world. So it's not just disclosure, the knowledge which is available here in the Netherlands, but worldwide. And then fly there, over there, it costs a few dollars or a few euros, get the knowledge and take it in and start like that. And that's an approach which SMEs like. And I think that connecting them to the Next Food Collective can be a good step, because the Next Food Collective can do something for them, what they don't like, and that's all the administrative work which is coupled to programs and getting money in, and so they want to do their job in the company, but they don't want to do the discussions.
There is one step before, Jan, because you know that's not what Next Food Collective will do. No, bringing also SMEs together to have a platform of what they want to see, what they have in mind as a next step for them and for the transition of the food system is one important thing. And then, of course, Next Food Collective is able to connect them with the research that is already ongoing, or to develop research and create a collaboration spot on. Because I don't like the idea that Next Food Collective has to sell itself to the partners. No, partners should see the attractiveness and see where Next Food Collective can create an answer. And let me, following what Marjan already said, there are barriers right now. Can we turn it around? We don't want the government to set the agenda on the whole food value chain top down. So what we need to do is to influence or convince the government and the parliament and Brussels about how to create an enabling environment, how to create incentives towards the transition that is so much desired and needed. And let's step back from the idea that once there is an agreement with the farmers, that we can face the transition of our food system into healthy and tasty food and save the planet will come automatically. Because we all know that this is a fairy tale, and for that reason, let Next Food Collective be the platform for other players to come together and create the chain collaboration that is needed to get this ball rolling and also set the scene at European and global level. But we need to start now.
No, yeah, we start now, but you talk so passionate about it. Will that also be your role in Next Food Collective, to talk to governments, to talk to other organizations, to pave the way for these possibilities?
Yes, sir.
There's a question. Food has huge externalities on ecology and on ecology and health. Is the sector too much dominated by the private sector? Who wants to answer? No.
I want to answer.
Yeah. Okay.
What the strength is really of the Food Collective and the way I was describing how they should come together and join their efforts is that it is about public-private partnerships. So it's not only private partnerships, but public-private partnerships. And also the knowledge and infrastructure we have on board in Western Europe and in the Netherlands is second to none. So it is really about public-private partnerships.
Yes, Marjan.
Yeah, thanks. I think so thanks for the question, and I think externalities is talked a lot about. So what are the effects that the production system has from agriculture and food on our environment? And we have to acknowledge that they are there. So we heard a lot about this today. So we are talking about transitions. We're talking about sustainable agriculture. We're talking about the race to net zero. We're talking about reducing food waste. And we're talking about more healthy food. And those, all those factors that are not there yet are producing externalities. So yes, obviously, and that is one of the driving forces for us to be together.
Right.
To acknowledge that it's there, and that's what we're going to work on. And they are, I talked about paving the way and barriers. Yeah, these transitions are huge. They are too big for any party to do alone. That's one of the reasons why we need to come together, and that's, I think, where Emma will concur that this is what public-private partnerships have been about, because it's indeed not only private, it's also public. But we need to do that together.
Actually, the two parts of the question, the externalities and the impact on health, is a different question than the private sector issue, because here in the question it was combined. But yes, the food sector has contributed too much to the emissions and to not doing the right thing for the health and well-being and mental well-being of people. That's true. But what do we want to do? Do we want to get rid of it and think that the rest of the world will be so nice to feed the Netherlands from now and make a nice park here full of biodiversity without producing our own food? No, don't be naive. But does the food sector, the agrarian food sector, want to be part of the problem? Yes, and that is exactly why they need to be in agreement with the farmers, and that is exactly why Next Food Collective is there to create this public-private partnership to become, to join forces to become part of the solution.
You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think we have to recognize that maybe we are a very successful and maybe too successful species. And from that,
Just look outside the window here.
Yeah,
you see the big ships.
yeah, and that gives us the responsibility to work on the pressure we put on the ecosystem. Huh? Otherwise, I think otherwise it will end. It will always end good for the ecosystem. I think, whether we do it or not. In the end, in the end.
After the end. There was a question here.
My name is Johan Durlijn, and I represent here the Food Delta Zeeland, which is a regional innovation network, which works triple helix with companies and the research institutes and the government, so a sort of regional food collective. Yeah. And my question is, how can we connect to this new initiative, the regional networks?
The already existing networks.
Yes. Because we already exist for quite some time, and we have our own agendas and ambitions and much more. It's not totally different, but so how can we
connect the collectives? Yeah. Who wants to answer that?
Well, my answer is really very, very easy. Thank you for coming today, and let's have a drink in a half an hour. We'll talk. We will connect.
So I work for Zeeland, the Stroomversnelling, you know about this bigger program. So I see a lot of networks in Zeeland, and the food network is in particular a strong network. So it's an easy step for you to join.
But in general, I would like to explain a little bit how we as a Next Food Collective want to work. We want to connect instead of creating competition. We want to join forces, learn from you, but also see how you can bring your piece of the puzzle to the table to get the whole picture, and how we can jointly do this. Because many initiatives are there, and we don't want to start from scratch, but we try to bridge the gaps that are there, and that's quite obvious because everybody is complaining about the scattered picture if you look at the whole food value chain. Even the representative of LIDL has some desires and wishes there.
Gerda, I can remember when we talked via Teams, you said it's about connecting the people more than the institutions.
Sure, but every collaboration starts with people. It's not technology that does it. It starts with people who are committed and convinced and want to do better. It's not only the Generation Z that wants to have a better world. We want and need and have the responsibility to leave this world a better place, or at least create the infrastructure to create
for our children.
It starts and ends with the goodwill and reliability and trustability of people and responsibility.
Beautiful.
Yes, Johan, I really would like if we could connect you to the Next Food Collective. As you know, we are looking for more SME networks, and we know each other a long time. So it would be nice to get in and see where we can create the synergy between what you're doing and what you want to do for your people, and what we can offer you from the Next Food Collective. And that also accounts for other SME networks.
Yeah, we have a lot of overlapping initiatives and networks in the Netherlands. So
too many?
Too many, and many parties are reinventing the wheel from time to time. Can you start from the base to improve the situation? No, I've already given up in the past. What we should do is have a sharp communication strategy in place of where the Next Food Collective stands for. And that will attract also others, I think. So this is really, I think, a kind of top-down communication, sharp, make it Next Food Collective really attractive for other parties like the one in Zeeland. Yeah.
Over there, question. Wait for the mic.
Stand up. Maastricht speaking.
Sorry, thank you. I hear a lot of interesting discussions which really seem to focus on processing, production and sustainability. And I miss a little bit the nutrition and health aspect. So how do you look at that for the Next Food Collective? Because it, of course, has my key interest.
Why is that?
Because our research institute is about nutrition and health and looking also to the health impact of diet. And I think there's still a lot to gain there.
Who can reply on that?
I'm happy to. Yes. So thank you very much for your question. So yes, indeed, this afternoon has been a lot about sustainability. And I think there are two main big buckets where Next Food Collective will be working. It will be about sustainable food systems, and it will be about healthy and nutritious food and how people can make those choices. And we've been hearing about that today, about the challenges of a supermarket that is trying to nudge people to make healthier choices. It's a huge field. It's a huge field, from understanding the human physiology, better composition of food, how people make choices, the environment. There is a whole field of work there, the microbiome, and I think the 4 organizations that have now together founded Next Food Collective have a huge history in this field. CCC has done a lot of work on this. Tiffin has done a lot of work. I think we're really very proud to stand on these shoulders, and Nutrim has contributed a lot to that legacy. Moving forward, we still need to define what we're going to do, because I think also what Emma was saying rightly so, we need to make sure that we work together with programs that are already there, that we do not duplicate what is done, and really focus on what is needed to create impact. So I think my question for today, on the day of the launching of Next Food Collective, is that this is definitely a theme that we're going to work on, and I really look forward to connect with you all to determine what is needed for the next step.
And we do not only want to learn from what you are doing, but also from what Innocent and other companies are doing and universities are doing in this field of nutrition and health and well-being, because that is crucial, and that's the reciprocity of the process. We need each other. We need to work together to get where we want, to get these 2 legs on the ground and moving forward towards the food system we want.
Was that also part of the first meeting you had today with the partners? Was that the tenure?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this morning we met with the founding partners of Next Food Collective, and we discussed what will be these main topics. So the 4 I just mentioned. So the 2 buckets: sustainable food systems, in with which sustainable agriculture, sustainable processing, and the protein transition are really key areas, and the other big area is about nutrition and health and well-being, and on all 4 of those we will be working.
And how will we measure your success in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so that's a very important question. What we discussed today, we made a round and everybody said what is really important, and what we really want to focus on is creating impact. That's also what I said before. What do we want to do differently? So that's what we're going to measure. We are going to measure the impact in reality. So in agriculture programs, we are setting the target that 1,000 farmers in a few years will have completely transitioned to regenerative agriculture, have a very good business model in doing that, and that being socially accepted. That's a very clear target. That's what we're going to measure, just as an example.
How many partners do you have to this day?
Today, we are founding with 20 partners.
Okay.
And I very much look forward to talking to you all here and talking to you all online. And the team will talk to you to please join us and make this a true, very strong collective.
We have another question back over there.
Thank you. My name is Ab Krachtwijk. I've more of a suggestion. You said the differences between different groups, youngsters and the older people. And what I see here is a lot of older people who are talking about youngsters. And I think we should add to the group a group of youngsters which suggest their opinions. And I do think they do think differently. I see it with my daughters too, by the way. And I think we should add that, and we should really think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I imagine there are collectives of younger people who could be maybe member for free.
Well,
There's not that much for free with youngsters.
No, that's true.
UP is representing a collective of applied universities in the Netherlands. So CW Groen, so Hans Hogeschool is here. 30,000 students only in one hogeschool.
But not only about schools.
To that point, I think, well, we as elderly people, let's say so, that we have to pave the way for youngsters so that they can move forward. That's our responsibility.
Yeah, but it's not only about schools. No. It's about giving them the authority to interact with everybody. They decide, not we. And we try to decide about their future, but they are going to be decisive, and we have to follow. And
we already decided quite something about the future.
There's a little distinction between interact with them and give them the whole decision. So I'm very much in having them involved in the whole discussion and also decision making, but giving them the whole decision is a little step too quick. But you never know. In 5 years from now, maybe.
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
That's good. Finally, discussion.
Good for you.
You wanted to say something?
Yeah. If I look at companies from SMEs. Also my company, it's my children who are in charge now. But and we were in charge when we took it over from my father when I was 32 and my youngest brother was 22. But what they asked from me is to go to this kind of discussions because they want to work in their company and make the step forward. What you said, they want to act. And they don't want to be involved in all discussions with everyone, certainly not with a lot of old people. So, but on the other way, this is also necessary to create a playing field where they can act. Exactly. So it's a question of good role development.
But that's exactly the point. And we can't, as elderly people, we can't sit on our hands.
No.
We really have to be involved in all these kind of changes and reach out to youngsters so that they feel, okay, this is a concerted effort.
Yeah, but let me give you a personal example. When I entered politics 25 years ago, I was extremely happy to meet with elder politicians. For one reason, which I didn't tell every day, is that I wanted to see how they were acting and learn from their experience, but also to push them a little bit and disagree with them. Because being able to disagree, and you must notice this at home as well with your offspring, that from time to time, they want to have the opportunity to disagree and find the arguments and learn how to build consensus.
Wait for the mic, please.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can you repeat that once more for the viewers at
home? Sorry. I agree. We have to work together, even a strange word. It's one, but we have to have them inside the group
sure.
and to be the real part.
Yeah,
and still, I don't see them here.
No, still, but this is just a kick-off. Yeah. And we heard you, sir. We heard you.
Okay. There was one question, last question here, over here. The lady in front. Yes.
Yes, my name is Nelson from LIDL. I think it's very important to have, you spoke about SMEs, but especially the startups and scale-ups. That are the people, the young people that have the ideas, that want to build a business and that are very innovative. So I think it's very important to have especially the startups involved in Next Food Collective. And what they need is, they need facilities because they don't have facilities. They have ideas, good ideas, but they need facilities. They need money. Because it's extremely expensive, especially if they want to scale up. So I think that is very important, and these are the aspects that should be taken care of by such a collective to make that happen. Because at the moment, if you look at subsidies, it's either for universities via NWO, or it's more applied. But especially for the more applied, it's very difficult to really get public funding. So I think. That's might also be a good point for Next Food Collective to see how can we arrange that there will be, especially in that field, good public-private partnerships and collaboration.
Yeah. It is already recognized. I think that it's important that we also transfer knowledge into new euros. So valorization, that's also from a report what was made by the AWTI and so on, and you see it coming back now. So, but I fully agree that's an important step, and accept facilities and money. Also, a network is important. To enter the markets, to get launching customers, etc., etc. So I fully agree, and we should work on that.
Last remark?
You're building our agenda.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we are so proud to have this kick-off today.
Yeah.
Because we're not in full shape yet, we're only starting, but we want to get the ball rolling and continue to be interactive. Don't wait for Marjan and their people, don't wait for me only, but
come with suggestions.
Come with suggestions, because only the interactive approach
an
can bring us together.
invitation to you all.
Yeah.
But an answer to Nel is that the subsidy landscape has changed so much. So when you now talk about the larger programs like the Grow Fund, Groeifonds, you can also invest in all kinds of facilities, up to demonstration plants. And that would be very helpful also for the smaller players in the food sector who can't afford all this money. But in this program, you can join the efforts to bring your innovations really to implementation. So that is there's a complete change in the innovation landscape in the Netherlands and also in Europe, by the way.
Okay, a final question to you all. Do you have one sentence or dream or promise about what the Next Food Collective will achieve? It can be very personal. It can be to your daughter, your son, your colleague, yourself. Gerda.
Okay.
One sentence.
Bring the players together to collaborate towards a food system in the Netherlands and beyond that is producing and consuming sustainable and nutritious and healthy food for an affordable price.
One sentence, beautiful.
Yeah, what I really wish in a few years that Next Food Collective is a massive collective which has demonstrated that we've found a way to actually create impact.
Great.
Yeah.
Jan.
Yeah, I hope we find pleasure in it and enjoy the road we're walking.
Beautiful. Hemmo?
For me, there's one important milestone, and that is that the food sector is seen widely as a sustainable sector in the end. It may take 10 years, 20 years, but that is the long-term horizon.
Thank you. We now come to the official launching moment. I'd like to have the button here, the big red button. I'd like to have Marjan and Gerda here. Oh, we can all push the button together. But there should be music as well and a countdown. We're going to do it very officially.
Emmo, your hand first.
Don't push yet. Just lay it. Okay, put it.
No, but you first.
You first.
Then Marjan.
First founding father. No, I'm kidding. I want to thank you all for watching online and being present here in the blender. Somewhere will be a countdown. Meanwhile, follow us and keep an eye on Twitter and LinkedIn for next meetings. Let's keep feeding the world together without costing this earth. Beautiful. I'm just gonna count down. Together with you guys. No. Not possible. Music. No. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. cheers at home, and cheers to you all. Welcome for coming, and cheers to the next Food Collective.
Honestly.